Oh, Paul's behind you.
Let's call the January 8th Town Building Committee meeting to order. First on the agenda, the request for memorial on site on project from Kevin Johnson. Is there a Kevin Johnson in the house? Granted, I have my back to everybody, so I don't know if I see him. All right. Why don't we table that and see if he shows up a little later? Report from OPM PCA 360.
Yep, sure, I should just hand this out to use. Our monthly report, which is emailed out last week. A couple of things to point out on it. Bring your attention to this extra copies here. Everybody needs it. It looks like we might have Jeff. Oh no, Peter's looking to join. All right. Oh yeah, I've got Chris Logan and Peter Nelson on Teams here, so they're listening in. So on the meeting, the report this month, in terms of sort of the executive summary, nothing significant to point out. Tasks completed this month, everything's sort of in line with what we've been presenting you. We did have a meeting on Friday with the pre-qualification committee, the working group of this committee. I thought it went very well. We covered a lot of ground. So we'll present the results of that soon. We still have a couple of things that we're working on before we finalize it. We issued a contract to HSI, which is the pre-construction survey company. So I should have that back this week with their insurance information so we can send it up to the select board for their approval. On the project budget on the page 2 in the bottom, I just want to point out, I went back to what was presented to in the special town meeting because we had a lot of different numbers floating around leading up to that meeting. And so I took what was presented to the town and what they voted on. So I've adjusted our budget to match. So the $74,516,061 now ticks and ties with that presentation that was given. I had a different number that was from an earlier iteration. So that now matches. And then the budget on the page 3, the revised total budget at the bottom, that number of $74,516,000 is now, jiving. And then in the budget itself on the right, under the revised column, I plugged in towards the bottom construction costs. I have now carried $60 million. Again, that was another one where we had a couple different numbers. That is the number that was estimated at the 60%. We had two estimates, one from Context, one from WT Rich, and together one was a little high, one was a little low. The average is right about 60 million. And what I did is I tweaked the contingency for hard costs to be 5% of that 60 million. So I did make a few adjustments here in the budget this month. I added a line 2 above construction costs for the pre-construction fee for WT Rich. So I added that. But everything foots to the number that was presented to the town. So we're good. That's really all the updates there. And then I did notice when I was going through, we went through a reconciliation. I found one invoice that in my budget that was entered twice. So I fixed that. So the total project amount that was spent to date last month was a little higher than what I'm reporting because of that double entry. So we did clean that up. So every couple of months, the town finance director and I sort of sync up our numbers just to make sure that we're both in agreement. So it's a check and a balance. So we did that and found that. So all set there. That's really the update for this month. We are generally on schedule. We are tracking just a little later to get out to bid. We have a few things that we're wrapping up on the documents. I'll explain when we get to the budget update of what we're doing. So other than that, that's the update.
Very good. Item 3, report from architect, context architecture.
Chris?
Sure. On the architectural engineering side of things, we're continuing working towards the bid date. We have weekly meetings with all of our consultants, some of them twice a week, coordinating the document, coordinating the 3D Revit model, and we're doing some last minute items with the departments to make sure that we're in sync as far as what the town administration and fire and police departments are looking for. We're awaiting final drawings from the kitchen consultant for the Council on Aging kitchen. All the information has been sent to our engineers as far as what they need for the sizing of their systems to provide the proper power to the kitchen, which is all electric. We are working on their view comments. We have the most recent ones that come in from the CX agents, those have been distributed, and we're working incorporating some of those comments. Since the 60% comments came through, we have actually been adjusting some of our exterior wall assemblies to be a little more in sync with some of the comments that they have made, which I think will benefit the building as far as its energy conservation is concerned and its overall.
Chris, you want to be a little more specific, please?
Pardon me?
You want to be a little bit more specific?
We're looking, we've changed the assembly of the installation on the exterior of the building as it approaches grade. We have a continuous insulation wrap all the way down the exterior face, down the face of the foundation and around the footing. On the front side of the building, whereas before we had it coming down on the outside and then going into the interior of the building. Now we have it coming down the front. It actually wraps under the precast panels,
Okay.
and then wraps down the face of the exterior. So all of the entire exterior of the building is a continuous run of insulation, which is, I think, probably the best you can get for the building with this. We also have the air vapor barrier that's behind that, so we're really keeping the building very tight from air infiltration, moisture infiltration, and that's true for both buildings now.
Now, Chris, did you guys decide that you're gonna do vapor permeable, non-permeable, or are you use the same air vapor barrier behind the siding versus the masonry, or are you gonna use two different ones? Where are you at with that?
We're using the non-permeable AVB,
Yeah.
and it's the same for the masonry as well as for the clad portions of the building. Clad portions have a second barrier, which is a weather barrier that is behind, that's in front of the sheeting that this siding is attached to, and they have the AVB that's behind the insulation, within the heated space of the air-conditioned space of the building.
Very good. All right, I'm all set.
Great. Yeah, we share.
We've been working.
So last month you asked for Nick to see a copy of the commissioning agent, the envelope commissioning agent's comments, which we shared with you. We just received Friday the 90% comments, so I'll forward that to you so you can be in the know. I know that's your wheelhouse.
I trust you.
We've been tapping into W.T. Rich's knowledge of construction sequencing and preferences for some of the installations, particularly windows. So we've been working on the details of how they'll be sitting in the building, trying to maintain a proper tightness with the AV as well as with the different finishes on the inside and exterior of the building. And working more closely with some of our manufacturers of the products that we're using as design intent, just to make sure that we're following guidelines which can be applicable to 3 different manufacturers, so we don't have any issues with claims of proprietary use of products.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. All right.
Sure.
Any questions for context?
Actually,
You got one?
oh, yeah, for Nick and the group, I know it might be insignificant, but I know I mentioned it back a while back, that, the existing firehouse faces the northeast, and we've had chronic problems for many, many years in regards to that. Does that seem adequate for you, Nick? given that this building will also face the northeast and, you know, get the brunt of these
To
storms.
fully answer your question, intelligently, let me see the report, let me confirm everything with the report that Brian's gonna send with the new report, and then I'll get back to you. I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
Okay,
They take that into the design. You
okay.
got a full envelope, the air barrier system. I'm not as concerned about mold and everything. This is like state-of-the-art technology construction, what they're gonna do. We're not just throwing it up there.
Right.
I think we're gonna be good. But before I can answer your question, let me review that report, and then next time I see you, I'll give you an
All
answer.
right, no, thank you.
Thanks. I made a note of your comments, so, okay, thanks.
All right, item 4, report from W.T. Rich.
Hello, everyone. So we are currently wrapping up our scope of work exhibit for the non-trade, based on, for the non-trade subcontractors based on 90%. As you know, these are the trades that fall under the CM responsibility, such as site work, demo, abatement, structural steel, etc. So we're in good shape for when we get the next round of documents, and we can fine tune that and be ready to send those out with the invitations to bid and the bid docs sometime late in January, beginning of January. We will continue our outreach for the trade bid contractors that have been qualified from their response to the RFQ, just so that everybody's aware, even though these trade bidders are qualified, it doesn't always mean that we're gonna see a bid from them. So it's important to us to continue the outreach and just let them know that we really want them to bid it. So we will be on the phone and emailing from now until the end of the month. This past Friday, we met with Superintendent of Schools, Scott Morrison, Steve Greenberg, Steve Clifford, and Justice, I think it was Justin. There's a few others as well, to review the proposed layout for the queuing of the parent pickup. We met over at the golf course and had a diagram of what we proposed, and Scott really liked it. He seemed happy with it, and so we're gonna implement that when we mobilize the site, and that'll be from roughly when the time we mobilize the site to the end of the school year.
Mhm.
And also I've reached out to Bernie at Middleton Light this week, well, today actually, to inquire about temp power, so he's out today and out sick, so I'll catch up with him later in the week. But we need to set up an account for temp power, big service for the site, so we'll get that going as well. That's all I have.
Tommy, how you guys handling temp water?
Temp what?
Temp water?
We'll work that through with the water department, we'll get a meter.
Should be water on
But the
site.
hydrants are on the other side of
Yeah.
South Main, so in our discussions,
We have a scope item for that.
we'll bring in
across.
the new service and stop probably at the first hydrant and then pull their tent from that.
The
Plan for the golf course there is what was presented to the select board last month? Or has that changed in terms of the layout and what will actually be happening there for the parking there for Fuller Meadow and those things on the golf course?
Nothing's,
Nothing's
that's
the
virtually
plan.
what we,
Okay.
that's virtually what we proposed, and it's easily done. We hope to reclaim it, we'll do the reclaiming first if we can, if not, we'll figure it out.
Any other questions for W.T. Rich? Hearing none. Permitting update, MassDOT, PCA 360.
Yeah, so we've had some back and forth with our GPI, our consultant. Bill has been assisting me because that's your background as a civil engineer. So we have a design that they've given us as a Hawk style, and we did have a discussion today that that would not be desirable for the fire department. So we're going to go back to our traffic engineers to revise the design to be a more traditional signal. So we now we'll have to update it and resubmit But I think we're already in the queue, so our timeline may grow a little bit with the change, but I think there's been some dialogue with Mass DOT, so it's good we have an engineer that's responding to us.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, it is. It's a good start. So really nothing significant to report other than, we will work with them on revising the design.
All right, 5B, incidental take permit. Justin, is that you?
It is, so we're happy to report that we have received some feedback and have received some official draft conditions that we've been assured more or less are not going to change, but we're still waiting for the official documentation. And that, of course, was thanks to Congressman Bolton's office. We had reached out. It's a bit of a Hail Mary, letting them know that the clock was ticking and that we were getting towards bedtime. So we have some assurances there. There's a final piece we're waiting on from Mass Historic for them to sign off that we anticipate should occur no later than next week. That's their deadline anyway to respond, and that's the last hurdle. So that should be the last bit.
Awesome.
So we did review those preliminary conditions, provided some comments. So I don't know what kind of a dialogue you're having with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, but some of them we'd like to talk more about. There's sort of two things that would have an impact on our construction. One is within 330 feet, they're saying nothing ever will work, period. And my comment was, well, we might have to do some tree work. We might have to do some landscaping. We have no parking lots. We have no buildings, no pure construction. But one item we might want to do is put screening to isolate the construction from the nest, which is one of their conditions, is that if we had screening, that we could extend our work hours. So I think we're going to want to pull that trigger and do that, and we're going to need approval to put it into that zone.
What's
So
the definition of screening? Is it like a 6-foot, 8-foot fence with scrim on it, or is it something
I
funky?
think
You
you're-
gotta go 30 feet
I think
high?
you're going 30 feet high with some type of, almost probably like one of those wind barrier things, is probably like you've seen the
Right.
tennis court, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
So it doesn't turn into a sail and take off, right?
right, yeah.
We talked about this at length in our office. It would be a good idea when you feel it's appropriate if we could have if you will, sit down with people at Fish and Wildlife. In other words, rather than have this linear process, which I understand is valuable right now, where they talk to the CONSCOM agent, talk to you, then it gets to us, then we say something that goes back, to just bring it together. We did have an opportunity to talk to the fellow that left there, Whitting, and so some dialogue cuts through a little of the bureaucracy of they're writing something in the abstract, whereas if we could just say, look, here's what we want to do, and here's why, and here are the things that we could do, and kind of you make, if you will, a deal with them. And so we think it'd be good to have that discussion. We've discussed that until we have clarity on this question, we really shouldn't put the job on the street to bid it, because it's too much risk on the backside.
I'm in agreement on that.
Yeah. And we are getting pretty close to the time where we want to go to bid. So we think this right now is probably one of the top few issues for this entire project. All the challenges that the town has gone through, this is a big one for us. And we need to get it pinned down. We understand, given all the challenges that you had with it, coming on first, and then Whitting leaving, then nobody in the seat, then reaching out to the congressman's office, then getting somebody. And remarkably, you got them quickly, so kudos to you for getting a quick turnaround on it, no question about it.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, in a way, it's like, that's really great, but that's not enough. We actually have to get more from them in terms of clarity and what the conditions are gonna be. Some of them, if you read them, they're somewhat onerous, and they are gonna absolutely have a cost impact on this unless we can resolve them. So we think as soon as we're able, an actual live discussion with a SWAT team, if you will, of folks from this project talking to the people at Fish and Wildlife to just say, let's look at your concerns, here's what we can do, if you're worried about this, we can do that, et cetera, and try to kind of volley back and forth to come up with something that works for everybody. We think we need to have that discussion and get it in writing, understanding how long that can take, even if you get verbal, before we put the job, responsibly put the job on the street.
Yeah, so, I mean, they said next week they should hear from Master Store. So hopefully this week, if we can get to them before they finalize their conditions, can we get them to make some edits to their language, is what we're hoping.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't think, what I'm asking, within the 330 is a big ask. As long as, I think they qualify it that it's only when the nest is empty, and outside of breeding season.
And I would
Which is
say
fine.
that the urgency isn't lost on us, but it is worth noting, we got them to go from 2 months of radio silence to some communication.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, which is incredible.
And kudos to Jackie as well for reaching out and making the calls.
Yeah.
No, the town's done yeoman's work trying to resolve this. There's no question about that whatsoever. You guys did really great work getting this thing flipped around. But they need to give you more. I mean, we work for you, we're your team. And what I'm saying to you is that we cannot responsibly put this on the street without having clarity on that, because you'll get hit in the back of the head with change orders that you will not be able to pay for. And I've been here before. We've done enough of these over the years to know how this movie plays out. So we need to get them in writing, and we need to get any conditions that I'm gonna tell you that we'll take that order of conditions and we'll put it on the back of every bid document going out. Every request for a proposal from every subcontractor in this job will have that order of conditions, whatever it is, on the back of their bid package. So they're bound to it. So there's no opportunity for them to come back and go, wait a minute, you didn't tell me blah, 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 and that we need more money if you want us to do that. And we're just not gonna go there.
So just to be a little even more specific, because I know you probably haven't, the other committee members haven't read it. The other condition that's kind of onerous is no work between 7 and 10 every day. And that's a lot to ask, because construction, industry inherently begins at 7 in the morning. However, they do say that if it's, the work is visually isolated, so that's why I was asking if we could modify the 330 requirement to allow us to put some sort of a blind or barrier that can separate the construction area visually, then it reduces that requirement. Now we can work at 7. So I think that's why I feel like some of these things are important. But we need their buy-in that, what does that look like and what is it constructed of, and will you accept that as a visual barrier?
Now, Brian, quick question. Do we plan to implement into the contract documents verbiage that if any violation of those parameters that are established by Fish and Game or whatever are broken by the subcontractors, whether there's going to be liquid damages, fines, so we're not held liable for that and it's passed on to the subcontractors, or in turn, to Rich to pass on to the subcontractor? How are we going to, what do you think the plan should be for that?
Yeah, I think it'll have to be written in.
We'll have to talk about punitive damages and what they are.
Because,
There's a
oh,
difference.
sorry, it was a mistake, is going to cut it when there's thousands of dollars or fines involved.
No, we get that, we get that. The contracts all inherently allow you to back judge a sub if there's a flagrant violation or something weird. We need, as we say, bulletproof the documents, but what we are trying to do is walk that tightrope between making the special project conditions so stringent that the subs start pricing risk into it. Yeah, that thing. And so we don't want them to get scared and start building risk and contingency into all the numbers. On the other hand, we have to be respectful of the order of conditions. So we have an innate, if you will, an embedded right to assess damages to a sub that may have flagrantly violated something, right? We go through this now with in school districts where we got guys who are quarried or whatever, and then they walked outside the zone or whatever. We have ways to, but the big one is we want that order of conditions that goes on the back of these bid packages to be reasonable to the average mason, waterproofing company, and like, you can look at it and go, yeah, I see what's going on here, but we can live with this. We can work from 7 to 3:30. They're gonna have a screen for those times we need to get within the 3:30. Otherwise, this is really, it's there, but it's not really affecting us. We're not worried about it, we're cool. That's where we wanna end up.
Versus, too much of a pain in the butt, I don't even wanna bid it.
That's
I
exactly
think
what
the
we're
time
doing.
thing's the big, that's the thing that's the, I mean, you can't say you're starting work at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't build a job that, I mean, these guys, 10 o'clock's lunch. I mean, you know, so, right, everybody does it, right? They get the hot dog truck at 10 and then they all go home at
Usually around
2:30.
9 is coffee and lunchtime
Yeah.
is noon. but-
Well, that's where that 3:30 to 6:60 range, you know, when you say 10 AM, you can't stop until 10 AM. Well, I was assuming that outside that 330-foot buffer, I can work.
That's not how it
There's a,
reads.
there's a but there's a caveat on the conditions. It says that if it's schedulable and all of that, it might just be a need to get some clarification and make sure that that's.
Well, that's why,
understood.
exactly right. That's why I say we need to have that sit down with those guys and actually talk about it, you know, rather than this daisy chain of people flipping emails up and down the line. Is just get them all in a room and let's hammer through it.
And I think, I mean, what they gave us is draft conditions,
Yeah.
so draft starts somewhere, so that's where we're at.
Exactly.
It would be great to get to them before they finalize it.
Again, we're not, to be clear about this, we're not finding fault with anything that the town has done here at all. The town did a great job. I mean, where you were 3 months ago is you had nothing. I mean, the thing was gone into the ether, and there was nobody even looking at it. And to your credit, you brought it all the way around, and you actually got something in draft form, which, as you're pointing out, is just a starting document. It's not the final one. We're not complaining about the progress that's been made at all. All we're trying to do is say, we're getting ready to get these bids to go to the street. I was reminding myself that I was pulling in the snow and ice up here. I think this is the third winter we've been meeting in this building to go over this thing, right? It's like time to get it built. So he's ready, gonna be ready to go. These guys are gonna be ready to hit the street. We just pre-qualified the subs and we're ready to roll. And what I know from other deals where I got involved with the feds, it can take a long time to get them to actually put in writing what they're telling you. And it's got nothing to do with the town. It's got to do with the way they operate.
Speaking of the comment you just made, saying, oh, we're ready to go. What is your opinion? So are the plans and specs gonna be ready for the file sub-bid due date? And when is the actual, have we established a due date for the file sub-bids at this point? Is that still up in the air based on?
They're not done until they're done. We're working on them, but we have weekly meetings on them and we're going through. Do you want to talk about
Based
that?
on your
That's our-
specific review, how do you feel about the plans and specs right now at this given time?
That we're still issuing comments on them, as evidenced by the fact that you've got commissioning agents that are still coming back with comments. We're making comments, we've sent new comments back, we're iterating them.
Are we truly at 90% now?
We are, yes. We haven't seen the latest drawings, but we've had some meetings with the Context team, and they, I feel like based on our discussions, they're there.
I'm assuming we're gonna go over all this as item 7, right? Because we have a.
Yeah, I do have-
big-
yeah,
So, yeah, just, why don't we wait till we get there? And then
Sure.
just resolve it all then, if that's cool?
Yep.
All right, building permits, item 5C, building permits, Context and Dimitri Rich.
So we filled out the applications for the two fields, two separate applications, one for public safety, the other is for town hall, senior center, community center.
Yep.
Those were submitted on the 30th, and we delivered with an upload of digital drawings, and we delivered the hard copies to the building department today.
All right, so we hit that deadline, that's good. Any questions on building permits? I'm assuming no.
Those are for foundation.
Yes.
Okay, so that keeps us in,
Yeah.
as long as it's foundation,
Mhm.
even just foundation?
Filing an application preserves our.
Any application?
Yep, any application.
We had a conversation separately as well with Mr. Fitzpatrick today, just to confirm that it locks in the code, so he did reiterate that to us as well.
And then, I guess the deadline, I just heard from
Yeah.
my code consultant on another project, I guess the state at the last 11th hour,
Pushed it.
pushed it.
Shocker.
Yeah, we found out before the holidays that the state has delayed everything until the end of January to begin their deliberations again. Nothing has gone public.
Just to start delivering it, again, that's great.
That was not the messaging that had come out 3 months ago whenever we realized we had this date looming. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're fine with the ninth edition.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to 5D, stormwater permit.
So we've had some feedback that some additional design measures, some improvements that need to be made to the stormwater design. So our bowler has made some proposals for how we can achieve that, and I think we're close. I think, Bill, you've been helping us out. You're going to be working with, you'll reach out to Kristen just to review that with her.
Yep, I'm just waiting on the response.
And then once we get that confirmation, we'll incorporate those adjustments to the stormwater design.
Sounds good. All right, item 6, status of communication tower proposal contract. A, recommendation of vendor and/or contract to select board for approval. Who's taking this one?
Yeah, Jackie behind you, I think has the latest update.
Yeah, I'm just waiting, it's a brief update, I'm just waiting for industrial to get back to me, so we can table this until the next meeting.
Okay. All right, number 7, bidding update. A, WBE, MBE.
So I did receive our goals from DCAM for our project. So for minority-owned business, our goal is 5.3%. For women-owned business, would be 8.3.
Okay.
So those are project-specific goals. They're not requirements, but they're goals. So we have to show outreach and effort to attain the goals, which Rich has been working on doing that. They've been working on their outreach to make sure that those minority-owned businesses are aware of our project and are invited
So
to.
5.3% of your emails have that in it, that's good. That's good.
We have a nice thick file on it
Yeah,
already.
beautiful. All right, bidding update B, 7B, filed subbidder pre-qual working group update.
Yeah, so we had our meeting on Friday with the pre-qualification working group, and we have a few, out of that meeting, there were a couple of things we needed to do to complete some of the scoring. So we're just wrapping that up in the next day or two. I think I'm going to convene one more, just a quick check-in with the committee, just to confirm what we've done so that we get that all clear. So I would say, I might ask maybe Wednesday, Thursday for literally a 5-minute check-in.
An email with
Yep.
they can take care of it.
Yeah, we'll find a time that works for George and Nick and Peter and myself. There are 5 of us on the committee. So I think that we had 97 submitted. Working group, excuse me, working group. There were 97 trades submitted. Of those, I believe 7 were disqualified.
Okay.
So still a tremendous pool, good representation in each of the trades. More than 5 in everyone.
Really?
Yeah.
Including elevator?
Except, I'm sorry, that was the one.
You told us
Sorry,
that
that was an
before.
exception. Yeah, there's always an exception, right? That one is an exception.
That was a good answer.
We're gonna be returning that scope back to WT Bridge.
7C, bidding timeline. We started briefing this a little bit.
Yep, so the 90% estimates came in, and WT Rich, their number, I have this summary. This is similar to what I presented you before. So I'll just explain it and then I'll hand it out because it's more of a record for you. Context estimator and WT Rich now have 2 numbers for the project. They're a little bit more apart, but still reconciled and within 5% of each other. So it's estimating a project of this size as a finger in the wind. These are 2 professional opinions of where they think the number is. And so Fogarty, their number came down a little bit from their last estimate at 60%, and WT Rich's went up. So we are now at $59,809,000 for A.M. Fogarty, and then 61,815 for WT Rich. And I'll hand these out for your record, and I can email this out to the committee. So if we were to look at the two numbers and average them together, it's sort of telling us the trend might be that we're a little bit over the 60 million target. So our team has gone through an effort of scrubbing through the drawings, and we found about $1 million worth of things that we can tweak on the design that really has no impact on what the way you'll perceive the project. They're all truly value engineering items. Pretty minor, so nothing that I need your opinion on. We're just going to implement some of these refinements to the design. And part of what happens is in the effort of designing, now more clarity in the drawings, and the estimators are seeing more scope. So, and we were able to see some things that got incorporated in the project that we realized can come out. So we're making those refinements now. So we believe with what we've done, we're on budget. All right. So I'll just hand this out for your record so you can see sort of the progression, the concept design estimate, schematic design development to see how the project has evolved. And I'll email this out to everybody for the record.
Folks, any questions for Brian?
So I guess the whole point of that is to say that we're making some tweaks to the drawings right now that WT Context is making. So there's final coordination and some of these refinements are being incorporated into the set.
So you may have missed what he just said, but you were asking your father, you guys ready to bid, and he's telling you that they've just come up with a laundry list of, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have, about 40 items that we want adjusted, in the specifications or in the drawings to refine some of the scope. So I think we're on track. This month, that's right. We were originally the 8th, and we're going to be this month to go up a bid. It's probably going to be the end of the month, based on what we're hearing from our team.
The one thing, just to be clear on, is the spirit of what we're doing right now is everybody's working on this every day. This isn't something where when we walk out of here, it goes on the shelf and we see you next week. I mean, tomorrow there's going to be phone calls. The next day there's going to be phone calls. Every day there's churn going in our office, at WT Rich's and at Context. And we're heading towards the deadline, as Brian's saying. We're basically on track. But we have emphasized a million times, they're sick of hearing it from us, that the best thing we can do for the town is make sure this is a tight set of documents going out. And if there's little changes, moves, adds, here and there,
Minor addenda.
we're doing the best we can to get them tight before they go out. Because, some cities and towns have a lot of money in the till, and if they miss on something, they go in and just throw another $1 million at it to cover whatever got missed. This is very tight right from the get-go. We were actually squeezing everything down. And so it's incumbent upon the whole team to do the very best we can within the limits of ability to make sure the set of documents are tight. So whether or not it goes out on January 28th or February 2nd or February 3rd means nothing if you get the right set of documents. Whether you open the police station or the fire station in August of 25, whatever the date is, or 2 weeks later, nothing happens. What happens is if you're rushing to hit a deadline and you go out before you've really purged or tried to eliminate any errors and omissions or conflicts in the set. So that's what everybody's working on right now, right?
Excellent.
That's
a great.
awesome.
Yeah, because we have an old joke. You can do it well, you can do it quick, or you can do it cheap. Pick two. And here we want to do it well, and we want to do it as economically feasible as possible. And if it takes just a little bit longer to get it, c'est la vie. But that's what we're working on.
Understood. Primary focus is on the design documents, and if they're ready, then it'll go out to bid. If it's not ready, then more refinement needs to be done. I get what you're saying.
100%.
Okay, any other questions on item 7? No?
I was just gonna say, so if we're not, if the recommendation from our OPM is to not go out to bid until we have answers from Fish and Wildlife there, what does that do to our costs, and how long can, what other things can we do to mitigate?
It sounds like we're within a week or two to resolving that, and we're about a week to two to finishing the refinements. So both are syncing up right now.
Yeah, and where you
Yeah.
have the draft conditions, I would expect it to be pretty quick.
Yeah, so the good news is, we're talking just weeks, so, which has no impact.
All right. Item 8, discussion on potential vote on the approval process for proposed construction change orders.
So, Mr. Chairman, in the meeting notes from last month, I put in the bullets and the summary and meant to print that out and bring it. I forgot, so I apologize. So I don't have that for you. So and we're not under any sort of timeline necessarily for this right now. It's still early. So if it's okay with you, could we table this till next month?
Yeah. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
All right, and last but not least is meeting minutes approvals.
So we've seen three of the four, and the fourth we'll get next, or in the near future for last month.
Oh, that was,
You didn't, the 12-13,
12/13, did that not go out last week?
I didn't see it.
Okay, I guess that's in my drafts then. They're written, so you'll see them when I hit the send button. Thank you.
I'll
All
take
right.
motions for the other ones that we have.
Yeah,
Can we do that?
I move that we accept the meeting minutes from the September 11th public presentation, the September 21st public presentation, and the November 15th regular meeting of the building committee, as chaired by Brian in the past.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
thank you.
All right, I think that's about it, right? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Good. We're done. Thanks, everybody. Great meeting.